A top MS13 leader has just been arrested in Virginia, of all places. The press release was announced this morning. They say the guy was 24 years old, was here as an illegal immigrant. This is just another instance of the Trump administration, of the DOJ, the FBI, with new leadership actually going after criminals. And I got one simple question on this story. Why didn't the Biden administration go after these guys? Now, you also know there's this big signal scandal. The Democrats are harping over the release of classified information, and you can see priorities. That's really all that matters, because I don't care to play this game. When I woke up this morning, I turned on the news. I start making up some waffle batter for me and the missus, and I watch the news before work, and there's a press conference happening. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Governor Youngkin are discussing how they have arrested a leader, one of the most prominent MS-13 members on the East Coast. How long has this guy been here for that nothing got done? Let me tell you, I doubt this guy just moved here in the past 2 months. The Trump administration's only been in for 2 months, and they catch this guy. Now, I want to stress, while keeping things kind of close to the chest, there are concerns about MS-13 in the area, and the Biden administration did nothing about it. Now, with the signal chat thing, my point is ultimately this. Right now, they don't care about gangs, terror, murder. We do. They care about whether or not Trump's team accidentally put a journalist on some signal chat in which nothing of consequence was actually shared with anybody. Sure, maybe you want to call it blockheaded, stupid, or otherwise. I'm still of the opinion that Donald Trump intentionally, or maybe his team intentionally put this guy on so they could get out the message they wanted to the people by manipulating the press. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm giving Trump too much credit. But I'll tell you what really matters to me: arresting gang leaders, terrorists, and dealing with violent crime. What do you think the Democrats are focused on right now? They ain't focused on this. They're focused on meaningless scandals. Meaningless. And they'll say something like, but this is top national security, Tim. This is the highest levels of the military leaking information. Guys, even if it was an accident, it didn't go to terrorists. It went to some journalist, some guy. In fact, it just benefited Democrats if that was the case. They're turning it could have been bad into it is really bad. Now, don't get me wrong. If it really was an accident, kind of bad. But I don't know that it's as apocalyptic as they want it to be. I just don't see it. My concern is, are Americans going to be killed or harmed? And how are we supposed to live in this area? I live in this area. I live in the D.C. metro, basically. We're about an hour and a half outside of D.C., but all of this area is basically D.C., Baltimore. You've got smaller suburbs. You've got Loudoun County. We're probably 10, 15 minutes away from Loudoun. That's where all of these NGOs were operating. All these lawyers lived. The old studio was literally 30 seconds. Not kidding. We drove over a bridge, Loudoun County, right there. So not in, but next to. This stuff matters to me. And it should matter to you that the Biden administration allowed these people to come into this country. Now, my friends, I'm going to read you the news. Bear with me. I am losing my voice for some reason. Maybe it's because I've increased my workload to 5. What am I doing? 5 hours of recording every day now? Dude, I don't think I will physically stamina-wise burn out, but maybe I've exerted just too much. And we'll have to figure it out. You know, because what we do is I record an extra segment every day to put up on Fridays. So we get you a bonus Friday show because we also do the culture war on Fridays with clips. And now I'm doing an additional hour-long show for Rumble, and looks like my throat's going to cave in. Or maybe I can just talk very quietly. Here's a story from Fox News. Top MS-13 leader arrested in Virginia. Authorities made the arrest just south of Washington, D.C. I got to say, guys, this freaks me out. But a huge shout out to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the DOJ. I got to be honest with you guys. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually trust the FBI right now. It's a weird thing to say. During Trump's first term, I was like, I don't believe these people. I don't trust them. During Biden's first term, the FBI was terrifying. And everything having to do with the FBI was, what are they actually trying to do? Now with Kash Patel there, I'm like, let me know what you need, buddy. I actually think they're doing right now. And Kash Patel's not As I've said, some crazy guy who's like, abolish the FBI. He's always been rational and moderate. Man, I love this. Did you guys see the hearing on the Signal stuff? He said, the men and women of the FBI will dictate, not you. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm a big fan. And it's crazy for me to say, but, you know, growing up, you never have a lot of faith in these institutions because you just don't trust them. They say never talk to the cops, right? I believe in cash. I see stories like this, and I'm like, how come we never got stories like this in the Biden administration? It was just the border was wide open. Well, here you go. What are they talking about now? Here are the Democrats for you. Top Democrat suggests Trump should deport Melania. Dude, holy crap, man. This is the Democratic Party. If you guys watched the Signal hearings, Signalgate they call it, you actually had one Democrat ask, you know what, guys, I'm not as professional as Tulsi or Cash. And that's probably why I'll never be in such positions of authority. But I'm a big fan of both of them. He said, do you think Pete Hegseth was drunk when he leaked classified information? And it's a loaded question. It's a presumptive loaded question. Classified information wasn't released. Democrats are just saying it is. But the issue is with the Signalgate stuff, whether or not it's classified is up to the administration. No targets were discussed. No vehicles were, no weapons were discussed. What was discussed was a potential area, notably Yemen, and vehicles, which is on the line. And that's what makes the whole story weird, in my opinion, is that if Pete Hegseth actually said, we'll be striking these targets at this time with these weapons from these vehicles, that's full and out there strategy. Saying some F-18s will be launched around this time is kind of like, with that incomplete information, it doesn't do much for anybody. It gives the press the perfect argument and the perfect left-right back and forth that doesn't actually get to the root of anything. That's why I think it's BS. Here's a story. I know I'm ranting from Fox News. U.S. authorities have captured the MS13 top leader for the East Coast, the FBI announced on Thursday. Officials captured the 24-year-old suspect in Woodbridge, Virginia, just south of D.C. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel watched the arrest unfold from a nearby tactical operations center. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and senior DOJ official Emil Bove were also present. Quote, they executed a clean, safe operation and the bad guys in custody. And thanks to the FBI, we got one of the worst of MS13 off the streets this morning. Virginia and the country is a lot safer today. I love these people. There's some stuff that I want to say, but I can't for security reasons. But let me just stress, this issue of gang activity deeply affects all of us in this area because there are concerns about gangs operating in this area. And I can't get into why, because it does pertain ongoing law enforcement. But seeing this move, guys, there have been reports that go back years about in Maryland, in New York, MS13, man, these guys are not to be trifled with. These are dangerous, dangerous people. These people command respect. And you might be saying, you can't, no, you need to understand. I'm not saying they're good people. I'm saying if you do not respect what these men are willing to do, you find yourself in very, very bad places. So what I mean by that is understand gravity. Understand what it means to call someone great. Great doesn't mean good. It means of consequence. MS13 guys, these are not guys you joke about. There are a lot of gangs you can make fun of. We had gangs in Chicago. We'd make fun of them. Their names were silly. We had no problem making fun of them. MS13 will flay you alive. Ain't no joke. They send messages. When you mess with MS13, when you speak out against them, bad things happen to you. And we know when they're operating in the East Coast in these areas, what that means for locals, it starts getting terrifying. So when the FBI makes a move and takes out their leadership and says they're coming for the rest of these guys, people breathe a sigh of relief. These ain't no street gang, my friends. This is an international cartel, recently designated as terrorists. Take a look at this from the U.S. Department of State. They say they remain committed to protecting our nation. They say that MS13 and other gangs have been designated foreign terrorist organizations. I'll tell you why. We got stories. There was a, let me see if I can find this, let me see if I can pull this one up. There was a, I don't think I can find it. Anonymous hackers back in the day were operating out of Mexico. Where can we find this one? I don't know. And MS13 reportedly kidnapped these guys, strung them up from a highway sign in Mexico, left their corpses dangling for people to drive past. You want to talk about some of these street gangs, these silly tough guys? You guys got to understand how serious MS13 is. And I say that because I'm going to say it again. You do not disrespect MS13 lightly. Now, I think Kash Patel, and again, I want to stress what I mean by this is you don't have to like them. You can call them evil. You can call them very, very dangerous. But there are guys at bars, right? And they'll act tough, and you can laugh and be like, this guy's nothing. MS13 guys, they play serious. That's why they're going after these dudes. Now, they're going to be sending these guys, I believe, to a El Salvadoran prison that ain't going to take too kindly. Kristi Noem tells all illegal immigrants to leave now or suffer the same fate as those shipped to El Salvadoran prison. This actually terrifies me. But this is wartime, and I mean it. And I'm sick of excuses. Guys, now is not the time for weakness. Let me explain. I am terrified of these scenarios. Look at this video of Kristi Noem. Look at the men behind her, shaved heads, gang tats, in a supermax El Salvadoran prison. The conditions are not so good. Trump brags about it. I don't like it. That worries me. I don't like it when Trump says, to these far left terrorists, Tesla attackers, he says, maybe you'll spend 20 years in El Salvador in supermax. I'm like, bro, not a fan. Not a fan at all. This stuff worries me. The idea that you'd threaten American citizens with being sent to El Salvador. But I'm not so naive. I think, I've got a certain degree of influence. Not the biggest guy, not the biggest podcast or anything like that. But we do here have some degree of influence with the amount of content we put out. An American citizen should never be sent to a foreign country supermax. I will not accept that. Maybe there are some circumstances I would prefer if someone was convicted of a death-worthy trespass, like capital punishment, I'd rather they be sent to El Salvador and supermax than put to death. Because I don't like the death penalty. I'm against it. I don't trust the state. But what I mean by this, let me play this video for you. What I mean by this is we've got terrorist organizations operating on our soil, threatening the American people. What do? Abraham Lincoln, as I've stated 50 billion times at this point, but I hope the message has been driven in, did drastic things. So when people tell me, Tim, we're not in conflict, we're not at war, it's like, bro, criminal cartels have been flooding the border. They are murdering people. They are operating on our streets. They are selling drugs. Now, I'm not going to call it civil war. This is MS13. This is Tren de Aragua, etc. But we are still dealing with large, powerful organizations that mean to do us harm. What we then should see is a declaration of mark and reprisal, not war. This means that certain government institutions, law enforcement, and private actors are empowered to stop these people and get them out of our country. That means if you are caught and suspected of being one of these invasive terroristic forces, you go to El Salvador.
Here at CCOT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the violence that they have perpetuated in our communities. I also want everybody to know if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
So, I'm conflicted. Can you, as a nation, I'm hearing a lot of people say, due process. And I'm like, these guys got due process. What does that mean? It means, look, you came here illegally, you get deported. There's no special benefit in deportation. They got one story right now about a guy who is his brother's autistic, and he had a autism pride tattoo. The left is now screaming this guy was sent to supermax in El Salvador because he had a tattoo honoring his brother. Guys, these are not citizens, and they've broken the law entering this country. I do not believe in making examples of people. I don't. But that's what they're doing. And this is where I'm conflicted. Should you, comment below, let me know what you think. Should you defend those who would wrong you? Sometimes, and I mean it, sometimes. Should you do it now? Should it be in this circumstance? The challenge here is, to what degree do we join the left and the Democrats in shackling the Trump administration when dealing with a crisis of this magnitude? This was rivaling for the number one or number two most pressing concern among the American people, the immigration crisis. And we get jokes. We get insults. They treat it like a game. The Daily Beast. Top Democrat suggests Trump should deport Melania. What? Like, come on. This is what they're giving us? Maxine Waters giving a fiery speech. He's going to undo the fact the Constitution allows those who are born here, even if the parents aren't documented, have a right to stay in America. If you want to start looking so closely to find those who were born here and their parents weren't documented, maybe you ought to first look at Melania. However, Melania did not receive birthright citizenship. She was born in Slovenia, entering the country to work as a model in an H-1B, and became a citizen after marrying Trump in 2006. Waters also flamed Musk's government. Is this a game? Man, this stuff blows my mind. Now we're getting this crazy story. Look at this. The judge that was up against Trump over the deportations has been given 4 separate cases pertaining to Trump's executive orders and actions. And ain't nobody thinks that's random. It's supposed to be that random judges are assigned this thing. It's a wheel. It's a different judge. The same judge keeps getting all these cases. I just look at this stuff and I say, yo, we have a problem with criminal gangs, cartels, terroristic activity, things that are decaying this nation and causing us strife. I'm going to stress this again. I can't go into great details because it pertains to ongoing law enforcement. I understand what that means. But people in this area are deeply scared about what MS13's been doing. And the news this morning is a sigh of relief for so many people who live in the DC metro. I really do mean it. When Democrats seek to obstruct Trump's actions in dealing with these criminal cartels, gangs, terror organizations, and illegal immigrants, Democrats are basically saying, we're not here for you. But take a look at the Tesla stuff. And I think that lays it out perfectly. Democrats told, liberals told people, buy electric cars. Now they're vandalizing your vehicles, threatening you, making it impossible for you to sell. What did you do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. That's the message I think that the average person needs to hear. Democrats seem hell-bent on making sure everything is going to be worse, and I don't understand it. What sane, rational American is going to defend MS13 leaders in West Virginia? What sane, rational American is going to tell Trump to stop his efforts to deport criminal illegal aliens? The Democrats are. Yo, it's crazy. We have a country. We have morals. We have laws. They're propping up these individuals like this gay barber. I'm not trying to be mean, literally a gay barber. This guy, he was a professional runner or something. They came to this country illegally, exploiting our goodwill to take from us. They got caught up with Tren de Aragua. I don't know how much sympathy I can have. I can say this. Here's a compromise. After they go to El Salvador and supermax, if after a review we find that they're illegal immigrants, they are, because if you're not an illegal immigrant, you shouldn't be shipped out of the country. But they're illegal immigrants, but they're not in the gang, let them go. You open the door and say, welcome to El Salvador, go have a good time. You're free from prison, don't come back to the United States. Now, I know the reason Trump's doing it. They want to set an example. That's why Kristi Noem made this video. That's why she's standing in front of these people. They're trying to use deterrence. I don't like people who shouldn't go to supermax being sent to supermax. I'm not a fan of that. But understand why they're doing it. They want to send a message to every single illegal immigrant, you will be sent to a supermax. And what happened? My friends, illegal immigration has dropped substantially. It's basically gone. It's basically gone. It's wild to think about. Donald Trump has gotten illegal immigration down to single digits in some instances. That's crazy. So then we look at what the Democrats offer you. Right now, according to Gallup and other polls, immigration is no longer a top issue from the American people. Why? Within a month of Trump getting in, he shut the problem down. So what more can be said? Crisis averted? Now they're trying to make sure it doesn't start back up. If they can make sure people do not cross, we can reduce the resources at the southern border. We can get the illegal immigration way down, the cartel smuggling, the human trafficking. I can't believe it that I have to say this, but under Joe Biden, children were being sold into sex slavery and they did nothing about it. In fact, CBP was ordered to facilitate it. So you pick. Which evil do you want? Donald Trump doing whatever it takes to stop the trafficking, even if it means illegal immigrants are sent to supermax if they're not part of Tren de Aragua? I mean, they're still criminals. Or would you rather Joe Biden? Children were being sold into sex slavery by our own law enforcement. They were being trafficked here, and CBP knew it and facilitated their transfer. Sorry, man. I may not like either, but one's substantially worse, and we know it. I'll wrap it up there. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We got more segments coming up, and we'll see y'all shortly.